Have you ever been anywhere and just felt like you don't belong? I went my whole life attending church every Sunday, following what I thought I should do. And so I found myself in a family that I didn't want to be in. I knew I needed something different. I had an older brother who never looked out for me, and I had parents who cared more about drinking and drugs than they did about their own children. So I worked as hard as I could to get myself out of that situation. But nothing really helped. I fell victim to the same routines that my family and my parents had gone through. So I fell victim to drugs, to alcohol, and gave in to the flesh, the wants and the desires, and the numbing that you can get from it, so you don't have to feel the pain. But I knew I just didn't belong. I didn't belong in a valley of sorrow or shadows or anything else. I knew I was born for something better, but I didn't know what it was. When I was 16, I met a guy, and he was always happy. He always had a smile on his face, and even when things were the worst they could be for him, he always smiled and said, "It's a great day." And I just kept thinking to myself over and over and over, how do I get that? How do I become that person that even in the time of the worst sorrow or fear or depression, anything, how can I be that person that stands up and says, "I'm happy. I can move forward through my day and not have to worry about it"? And I didn't know. Again, years went by and I stayed exactly where I was. I drank until I fell asleep. I got up, I worked, and I did it all over again because that's the only thing I knew. And one day, I got pregnant and I had to stop drinking, obviously. So pregnancy at that point in my life was not something I was ready for. I was single, I was alone, I was afraid. I didn't have a relationship with either of my parents or really any family, so to speak of. My family was the alcohol that I turned to at night. So I decided I had to make a change. For the better, for the worse, it was time. And I ended up having a beautiful daughter, but it was just us, and we were alone. And in that moment, I saw myself as my mother, a single parent who was doing the least she could to provide for a family. Although I was working, I was going to school, I was trying to provide a life, I was still not demonstrating the woman I wanted to be or the woman I wanted my daughter to be. So I started looking into other things, but nothing really satisfied that desire you want to change your life or to make your life better for somebody else. Time went by, and that same man that I met when I was 16 and was always happy asked me on a date. He knew I had a baby, and he was a servant of God in any way, shape, and form that you can imagine. So in my mind, I couldn't believe that he was even giving me the time of day. We were friends, but I thought he deserved better than me. There's still times I think he deserved better than me, but I always thought to myself, if he's willing to give me a try, then hey, why not? Well, today he's my husband. I've been able to devote myself to Christ, to devote myself to the church, and to live the life that I'm proud of, a life that I want my children to live. And although I've still struggled throughout the years with alcohol and things of the sort, God has reached out to me and literally wrapped his arm around me and told me if I gave him everything I had, he would take away any pain, any desires, any addictions that still weighed heavy on my spirit. And so I did. I gave everything to him, and it changed my life. The only thing that I can urge you is when you feel like you need to hide, that's when you need to stand up and shout. That's when you need to find a mother, a friend, another daughter of Christ. Go to them and find them and tell them what's weighing on your heart. Because the more you hide it and the more you do it alone, the more you're going to feel alone. But the moment you put it out there and you speak life into it is the moment that God's able to take that pain or sorrow or burden or addiction or whatever the case may be. He'll take it from you. He will carry that burden just as he's done so many times before. But you can't hide. Don't be ashamed and don't be afraid. We all have things we deal with. And even if you think, I can't be a Christian because of this, I can't be somebody God loves because of this, it's all covered by grace, and God loves you.